Okay, we're going to try this one more time. One more time and see if it will work for us. Can you guys hear me? Okay, awesome. Great. Okay, perfect. You guys can hear me now. So if at any point you can't hear me, let me know. Oh, you could hear me. I was just covering my mic. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Things I'm learning. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll give everybody just a couple minutes to hop on and then we will get started. I think I was saying, okay, sounded like last time the mic was covered. Awesome. I promise I know how to use a phone, guys. Promise. So I was saying that the rain made it easier to stay inside. So now that it's sunny, I have a feeling it's going to be just a little bit harder to social distance because it'll be really tempting to be outside and be around other people. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our Sunday Night Live. I've got 3 students who are going to be joining me, which I am super excited for you guys to hang out with tonight. We're going to recap Pastor Jeremy's message. So if you guys don't know me, my name's Laura. I'm the Happy Valley student pastor, and I'm going to introduce you to a few of my friends. So first, we're going to meet Kate, who is a sophomore at Oregon City. And if you guys saw yesterday, she showed us around her room on our cribs video. So if you missed that, be sure to check it out. It's on YouTube and IGTV. But Kate, will you just introduce yourself and tell us what is your favorite non-video game?
Hello, I'm Kate. I'm one of the worship leaders at ALC, and I really like the game Saboteur. It's actually not a known, very big game, but it's kind of, it's weird, but it's like all these dwarves go together, and there's like a saboteur, and you're trying to find this hidden gold, and you can like mess up your friends, and it's really fun.
That sounds super fun. I have not heard of that game. I will definitely have to look
Yes.
into that. Is that one your family likes to play?
Yes, my sister is a very big gamer, and she found this one, and we all played it, and it was just really funny because you can like yell at each other, so it was fun.
Awesome. That sounds like a great game. Okay. Well, we might have to look into that then. Spencer and I need
hmm
some fun things to do during quarantine. So awesome. Okay. Well, thanks, Kate.
hmm
Okay. So next, I'm going to bring on Drew. Um, and we will get to hear what he's been doing during quarantine as well. Hey, Drew.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Okay. So will you just introduce yourself? Tell us what grade you're in, where you go to school, and then what is your favorite non-video game?
My name is Drew Foster. I am in the 10th grade. I'm a sophomore at Clackamas High School, and I think my favorite non-video game is probably Solitaire.
Solitaire. That's not a very social game.
Well, I've got a lot of free time, and I've been playing so much Solitaire.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
pretty fun.
Awesome. Are you pretty good at it?
I mean, yeah, I don't know, yeah.
As good as you can be for solitaire? That's
Yeah,
funny. Do you play on your computer or do you play with actual cards?
actual cards.
Actual cards. Awesome. That's a lost art. I'll give you that. Awesome. Okay, thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then last, I'm going to have Audrey join us and to hear. I know that she plays a lot of Minecraft, but I want to hear what her favorite non-video game is. So Audrey, will you introduce yourself and tell us what your favorite non-video game is?
Yeah, I'm Audrey. I'm one of the student leaders at the Happy Valley campus. I'm on the outreach team and the involvement team. And my favorite non-computer game, I think, would have to be Anomia. I played it a lot my freshman year during like life groups, and it's so intense and like fast-paced, and it always like, I don't know, I like scream throughout the whole thing because it's like really stressful, but it's really fun. So
I played
recommend.
that game for the first time back whenever we had that game night at life groups, and it was so much fun. I definitely
Yes,
want to get that
yes.
game.
It's
Yeah.
the best. It's the
Okay,
best.
that's a good one. I'd forgotten about it until you just said that. I'm going to add that to my list. So awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Audrey.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, my name's Laura. I'm the Happy Valley student pastor, and I have a lot of favorite non-video games. I'm actually not much of a video game person, but my mom and I really like to play Bananagrams, which I know Spencer thinks is super lame, but I think it's awesome. I just think it's really fun. So my mom and I can play that for like hours. But tonight, we are going to be recapping, like I said, Pastor Jeremy's message, and then having a discussion with our student leaders. And I just want to quickly recap the message. And just so you guys know, we're going to be doing this every Sunday night. So we encourage you to watch the service at 10 a.m. every Sunday at live.alcpnw.com. You can watch it with your family, or, have some friends from your life group maybe all watch it together on like Google Hangouts or Zoom. But we are going to have students like Drew, Kate, and Audrey join us every Sunday night to break down the message. So I want to share with you some of the things that stood out to me during Pastor Jeremy's message this morning that he titled In the Wilderness. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into those things tonight. So this morning he taught from Luke chapter 4, which is when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness. And so Luke tells us that Jesus was led by the Spirit out into the wilderness, and where he is tempted in quarantine by the devil. Now, we don't know why Jesus was led out there by the Spirit. And I think right now we are all asking a lot of why questions to each other and also to God. But according to N.T. Wright, and Pastor Jeremy shared this quote today, it's lament is what happens when people ask why and don't get an answer. And so Jesus is tempted 3 times by Satan. Once to turn stone into bread because he was hungry. Once to worship Satan and he would be rewarded with all of the kingdoms of the earth. And once to have angels save him to show off his Jesus powers. But Jesus doesn't give in to any of these temptations, and instead he leans into God and he leans into God's truth. So in this time of quarantine, we have the opportunity to lean into God in a completely new way. And we can lean into him to learn new things instead of falling into temptation. So right now, that can be super hard to do, especially with all of the why questions and the doubts that we have. We also, as Christians, have the really great opportunity to help those who are suffering, who may also be asking these why questions. And Pastor Jeremy put it this way. He said, in times of suffering, the Christian response is solidarity. So those were kind of the things that stuck out to me this morning from the message. And so I'm going to be bringing some the students on who we met earlier to dive deeper into this and just to talk through some questions about what is going on right now. So first, I'm going to bring Audrey back on, and we are going to dive into our discussion. So feel free to comment down in the comment section if something that any of our students say, if you agree with it, or if you want to just share kind of how you're feeling. But Audrey, I would love to hear, what are some of the why questions that you have right now, and why do you think that we need those questions answered so badly?
I think for me, the biggest why question is, why is this happening right now? I feel like it kind of, this whole like quarantine stuff kind of happened like during the busiest time of the year, at least for me, because I usually have a ton of stuff going on in the spring. And I think that, I guess just for me, I really like need this question to be answered now, because I like to have answers right away. I'm not somebody who likes to wait for them. Like, I like to know like what's going to happen. And so I guess that's kind of why I like need these answers right now.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I am like not patient, and I definitely like don't enjoy waiting for things or waiting to like figure out, okay, what's the good that's going to come out of this? Like, I want to know right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I totally hear that. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Okay, and then I'm also going to have Drew come on and answer this question. So we'll bring him into the feed. Hey, Drew.
Hi.
Okay, so I would also love to hear your answer to this of what are some of the why questions that you have right now, and why do you think that we want those questions answered so badly?
One of the why questions that I actually struggle with very often is why is God doing this, or why is God letting this happen?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that has stuck with me for a really long time is to think that, or not think, but to realize that God doesn't ever bring bad stuff into your life on purpose. Like, some people like to think, oh, God made me sick to teach me a lesson, but that's not really the case. Like, He doesn't ever want this bad stuff to happen to you. So, I don't know. Yeah, but one of the things is I want to have an answer for this. I don't want it to just let it like sit there and have me think about it. I want it answered. But yeah, it's kind of the reason why I want it to be answered. But I feel like it's also something that's good for me to just not let it be answered, because I don't know, sometimes it's best not to answer, like not to blame anybody for the virus or anything. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting to think about, like, okay, if we don't have the answer to everything, then that's where like our faith comes in, right? And like if we had all of the questions, all of our questions answered, then, you know, there's things that I agree with. It's interesting to just be able to like sit and like process kind of what Pastor Jim was talking about last week of just like sitting in the tension of grief. So I love that. Thanks for your input, Drew. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Okay, so next I'm going to bring Kate in. Let me pull her up. We'll add her back into the feed. Because we've got another question for her. Okay, there it is.
Hello.
Perfect. Hey, Kate. Okay, so the next question that I would love to hear from you is, what does lament mean and look like to you? And what is it and why should we do it? So, this word lament, kind of what stuck out to you when you heard that part of the message?
Well, honestly, lament is still kind of a confusing word to me, but I take it as like sadness, or you're just feeling a sense of loss. And usually when I'm in situations where I feel like defeated or something, my ultimate reaction is to sleep. And I know that's kind of weird, but like when I come home from school and I have like a bad day, I instantly go take a nap and then I usually feel better. Um, I've only done that once during this quarantine, so I guess that's good. But I feel like lament in a sense though is God trying to tell us to just slow down and to take a breath and to really think about him. Um, and that's really hard for me, but quarantine is a really good time because I mean I have all this time in the world now to do that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think lament is a big part of getting closer to Jesus. Instead of just staying defeated, we need to realize that God loves us. And although this is really hard and like confusing and we wonder why it's actually happening to us, it's a great time to connect with God more.
Yeah,
So,
totally. What's something that you feel like God is teaching you during this time, and how can you lean into Him in new ways?
um, well, like I said, like he's like telling us to rely on him. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's another form of we need to slow down with our lives because school and jobs are all very like stuck in our heads, and then we forget
Mm-hmm.
about our like family or our friends, and like this is a great time for us to just stop and be like, whoa, we actually live with our family. This is great. And so I think God's telling us to get closer to our family and to reach out to people that we haven't in a really long time. And I think we also just need to put our trust in him because he's holding us and he knows exactly what to do. So we just need to remember to trust. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I loved how you said of like teaching us to reach out. I think that's so true. That's something that I'm definitely learning through this, and a way that I'm learning like how to reconnect with people is
Yeah.
because, like you said, now we have all this time to do it. So awesome. Thank you so much, Kate.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm also going to have Audrey come back in. So I would love to hear what God is teaching her. Hey, Audrey.
Hi.
So what is God teaching you during this time, and how are you leaning into him in new ways?
So I think he's teaching me two main things, and the first one is he's kind of just teaching me how to slow down. I am a very busy person. I like being busy. But since the quarantine, like my schedule has completely been freed up and I literally have like nothing to do now. And I find myself trying to like fill in those like gaps of time where I don't have anything going on with like a bunch of like projects or just like playing video games nonstop. But like he's like teaching me, he's like, hey Audrey, you need to like stop and just like rest and like spend time with me. Like stop trying to be so busy, just talk to me, you know?
Yeah.
And then the second one is he's teaching me to enjoy the little things. Like I feel like I took them for granted. Like just a simple like walk around like outside, I took that for granted. And now that's like all I want to do now, you know? But it's like harder to do that, and like going to the store is a little bit more tricky, and just like going to the mall is more like the mall's closed. Like you can't go there. And I feel like I took that for granted. And now like I'm like really appreciative of the things that I used to have, if that makes any sense. And then
Yeah.
I've been able to lean in him a lot through I just prayer. I'm praying about a lot of things. And reading my Bible, honestly. Like the Bible app is like my best friend right now. Just yeah, reading the Bible and spending time in the word like gives me some wisdom, and I feel like I can learn a lot from reading the Bible.
Yeah. And if you guys missed it last week, Audrey did a phenomenal job taking us through our very first Bible app devotional. And so, anyway, we would love to have you guys join us for those for our one this next week. But Audrey, I would love to hear, there were a few things that Pastor Jeremy kind of walked through during his message today. And so I would be curious to know, are you being tempted to do any of these things, and why? So give up hope, give in to despair, fight those around you, or protect yourself above others. Do any of those kind of stick out to you during this time?
Yes, definitely. I'm really prone to fighting those around me. When I'm like really stressed out, I become super combative. And I feel like I do that because I want to like isolate myself from other people, because when I'm stressed, like I want to isolate myself. And so I do that. I handle that in not the best way. And so I start to like argue with my family and like be super, super mean to them when like they don't deserve it. And yeah, it's not great, but that's just what I'm prone to do.
Well, I think it's awesome that you are like aware of that, and you can pinpoint like, okay, this means that I'm like stressed and overwhelmed, because when you can pinpoint that, that's when you can like stop yourself and make a change. So, exactly. So that's awesome that you're like doing that self-reflecting during this time. And I'm sure your family appreciates that too.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Audrey.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm also going to bring Drew back in to hear kind of how he's processing through temptation right now. So Drew, I'm going to ask you the same question, because I would love to hear how this is going for you. So are you being tempted to do any of these things? Give up hope, give in to despair, fight those around you, or protect yourself above others?
One of the things that really tempts me right now is, I guess, falling into despair, kind of. I've gotten into the habit of not really doing anything with this quarantine. Like, there's a lot of people out there who are like taking this time to learn a new skill or something, but all I've been doing, I've been playing like video games or solitaire or something, which is what was I saying? Yes, giving into despair. I haven't really been using this time wisely, which is why, like Audrey, I feel like I need to kind of flip myself around and start using like the Bible app more, reading the Bible or praying or something, you know? Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And like, I mean, like I said to Audrey, I think it's awesome that you're like aware of that and you're seeing like, oh, maybe instead of playing video games for, 10 hours, I could use some of that time to, connect with other people or do something else. I think that's awesome. So then my last question for you is how can we help others who are suffering?
One of the ways that I actually like to help people is to reach out to people that I haven't talked to in a while and just kind of check up on them and see how they're doing, especially like with a time like this, like there's a lot of people worrying or stressing out, you know. I feel like there's a lot of friends that I've been able to contact and just make sure that they're doing all right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a great way to spend your time. And that's awesome that you're making this connection. So thank you so much, Drew, and thanks for being with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Okay. And then next I'm going to bring Kate back in. And I'm going to ask her the same question because I think it's awesome to be able to hear from other students of ways that they're connecting with others around us. So Kate, my last question for you is how can we help others who are suffering during this time?
Well, like Drew was saying, like reach out to people that you haven't talked to in a while. But one of the things that actually me and my mom were talking about doing, who actually is watching me right now, so hi mom. She we we were every Easter we make an Easter cake and it's like a little bunny and it's covered in like coconut shavings and it has cute little ears that I draw like every year. And we decided to instead of making a big cake this year, we're gonna make like two little ones and we're going to give one to our neighbors because they have been really nice and they're going to actually go to Costco for us because my parents are actually like a higher risk for the coronavirus just because my dad takes meds because of his kidney transplant and my mom had pneumonia when she was little. So we're repaying back their kindness with a cake, I think, hopefully.
I love that.
So I would just encourage people to maybe consider like leaving treats at people's doors. And I know it's a little scary to go out because of the virus, but I think it could really brighten someone's day to just leave like some cookies or cookie dough maybe and say like leave in the fridge for 7 days, don't touch something. But it's like it's a small thing to do, but it leaves a huge impact. So I feel like that's the biggest thing to do, in my opinion.
I love that. I think that's so fun. And what a fun way to like continue your tradition, but also
Yeah.
take a step further to bless someone else. I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
it's gonna
thanks,
be fun.
Kate. And thanks for
Yeah.
being with us tonight.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. And then last, I'm going to bring Audrey back in to hear kind of what her ideas are for how we can be supporting other people. Hey, Audrey.
Hi.
So what are you thinking? How can we be helping others around us who might be suffering during this time?
The main thing, I mean, I have a couple different things, but I guess just like right now, what I've been doing is just making sure that I'm FaceTiming people and checking up on my friends and making sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've had that done to me like on several different occasions, and I've had people check up on me who I don't even really know, and so I know that it feels really, really great, and so I like to return the favor to those people. But something else that I'd like to mention is that Abundant Life, our church, is having an Easter drive, and so we're partnering with Portland Rescue Mission to do a food slash clothing slash supply drive. And basically, if you guys are interested in this, you guys can bring your donations this Easter Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. And I feel like that's a really, really great way to reach out to those who are suffering, who aren't necessarily our friends. You know, we can just go help out people in our community in quarantine.
One way that would be really easy to bring just some hope to people is that if there's people that you know who might need hope during this time, invite them to watch our Easter service on this next Sunday at 10 o'clock. And then, like Audrey said, a really awesome way for us to just reach out to others and to continue to make the gospel good news for others is by participating in that supply drive. So we will share more information about that on our Instagram page this week so that you guys can help participate in that. But I want to end with this quote from N.T. Wright that Pastor Jeremy mentioned during his sermon today. And it was, "It is not the Christian vocation then to be able to explain what's happening and why. In fact, it is part of the Christian vocation not to be able to explain and lament instead. As the Spirit laments within us, so we become, even in our self-isolation, small shrines where the presence of and healing love of a God can dwell." So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We can't wait to see you Wednesday for our virtual life groups. If you are not in a life group yet, please send us a message here on Instagram or an email. We would love to get you connected to a life group for this Wednesday. And then also join us back next Sunday night after we watch the Easter service at 10. Join us back for Sunday Night Live at 7 so that we can talk about it and just be in community together. And I also just want to thank one more time. Thank you, Audrey, Kate, and Drew. Thank you guys so much for joining us, for being vulnerable, and just for allowing us to go deeper into the message from this morning. So we'll see you guys soon. Bye.